Good evening and welcome to the June 9th Show Unified School District Board meeting. Thank you all for being here. Tonight, the Pledge of Allegiance will be ran by Dr. Dorsett and our invocation by Mr. Kevin Hall. So will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful this evening for the opportunity that we have to gather together in this Show Low School District board meeting. We're grateful for the students in our community. We're grateful for the opportunity that we have to serve them. And we're also grateful for all the staff that work in our schools. We're grateful for this great community we live in. We pray as we meet tonight that we may do what's best for the kids in our district, the students in our district. We're grateful for them. And we say this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, before I ask for approval of the agenda, I just want to remind everyone that these meetings are recorded, so if you have a cell phone, could we please put it on mute or stun, because again, those rings and talking and so forth are heard over the recording and then sent out to all those listening, you at home. So can I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second for approval of the agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 1.2, student highlights.
All right, I guess this is me. I'd like to thank you for letting us take some time this evening to highlight some of our students from Linden. And we're going to start really quick with our students who have read 1 million words during the school year. And to give you an idea, 1 million words looks like the Harry Potter series from front to back. So we have several who have read and they have taken AR tests and have met this goal. So I'd like to have those students go ahead and come on up in front of the podium here. We just have a handful that were able to make it. Some had car trouble and others had vacations. It's summer, what can you say? And girls, go ahead and you can stop right there. That's good. When I call your name, you can just wave to everybody. So we had Lucas Webb, Jamie Wall, Alden Larson, Trevor Owens, Piper Layton, Grace Moore, Sydney Ratliff, Preston Kellum, Titus Yarlett, Caden Goodman, and then we had some who read more than 2 million words, Blue Hancock, Grayson Lewis, and Sydney Kakavas. And we had one student this year who read over 6 million words, and it was Adam Brooksby. So we'd like to congratulate all of these on their wonderful reading, and good job, you girls.
Girls, can we shake your hands? Let me shake our hands, please.
We're going to let you shake all of our hands. really
Yes,
quick.
we have to shake your hands. Come on.
So you can start right here and
That's
go
a big
around.
deal. You can come right here in front. Yeah, there you go.
That one, she's gonna have a hard time.
If the little one might not be able to reach, though. There she can. Congratulations. Congratulations, sweetheart. Keep it up, okay? Clear through junior high, high school. Keep that up, okay? Congratulations. And how many words? 2 million. That's amazing.
And I'd like to turn a little bit of time over to our 4th grade teacher, Julie Farnsworth. She has a little presentation on the VEX IQ after school program we have at Linden.
Pied Piper's giving me a hand. Hopefully Kevin will make it down the ramp. This actually is we started the VEX robot team this year. VEX, the IQ is for elementary students. There's also a junior high. She's new, she hasn't run it before.
She's doing great.
It's the little minions vote.
That one's called Kevin Squared. Our team name is the Minions. The brain's name is Kevin, so that's Kevin Squared because we have a square on there. The VEX IQ program teaches kids computer skills, math skills, engineering skills, and unfortunately, none of my kids could come today for the same reasons. But I'd like to honor them anyway.
Absolutely.
We have Trevor Owens. He's our CAD designer. We have a free CAD program that he goes and designs stuff in. I have Anna Soto and Cameron Wallentine are our chief designers. Jace Owens is actually in the junior high, and he's our assistant. He's really great. Levi Owens is only in first grade, so he can't be in the program, but he's our mascot. He actually knows XY coordinates now from working with us. Then I have Anna Soto and Cameron Wallentine are our chief builders. And who am I forgetting? Oh, and Dylan Burdick is our chief programmer. So everybody has a job. I just found out this week, we got this kit from a grant. Just found out this week I can start in the second team out at Linden. We got a second grant. And
Fantastic.
I think for this team, we had 30-some kids that applied. So there's really a huge interest in the district for this. And
Thank you.
so we're having loads of fun. We meet twice a week during school year, and we're meeting once a week during the summer as an after-school program.
That's
Is
awesome.
Kevin Squared heavy? Can you pick him up there so I can get him on the camera? There we go. Now Kevin Squared can get on it. There we go. All right.
Mrs. Farnsworth?
Yes.
How did you come across the grant?
There was a competition at Blue Ridge, and a couple parents brought me the grant applications. We got the last one in the country.
So did you fill out the grant and apply for it?
Got the
and everything?
grant. Miss Ramsey I had to put her on there. Hey, Miss Ramsey, can I apply for this? Then 10 minutes later, I'm like, you're not gonna believe this, we got it. It came that quickly. The VEX people are really interested in Show Low. I'm telling you right now, there's possibility of a NASA grant to cover elementary, junior high, and high school. Just putting that out there.
That's fantastic.
Who's pursuing that?
Yeah.
Just saying. The junior high, actually the VEX IQ, also, which was kind of interesting, they had the World Championships in Missouri last month. They are now in the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest robotic competition ever. They had 1,700 teams show up. And it's also going to be on ESPN in July. ESPN2, I think it's July 20th. So if you want to check that out. But the kids are learning a lot of things that they never knew that they could do. So it's
Awesome.
a great
Thank you so
program.
much.
Thank you for coming in and thanks for
Yep.
sharing it with us.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to contact me. I do know some contact people. And hopefully we go to state.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other student highlights, principals? No. Item 1.3, call to the audience. Kim, do we have? Of course. First one, Dave Nicholas. Coaches Booster Club's appreciation for what they did in the summertime.
Yes, thank you very much. I didn't know I was supposed to be the first one, but I
I just did them in the order she handed them to me.
wanted to give a little shout out in a public way to our coaches and clubs and activities programs that in the summertime, they do a lot of things. They're not paid in the summertime. They don't get their coach's stipend in the summertime. Every sports program at the high school has something going in the summertime. In fact, this weekend, there's a softball all-star game that we've had in our community the last 3 or 4 years. It's been put on. Our softball booster club has been a real big part of that in the planning process. It'll bring a couple hundred people into the community this weekend. Other teams have tournaments and things like that, and brings people into the community. They stay the night, they eat at restaurants. I think the community people like that, and and it also gives our kids something to do in the summertime, ways to improve and make themselves better. But I just want to give a little shout out to them for doing what they do, going the extra mile in many cases, and our booster clubs also for what they do. And our maintenance department also takes on a lot of extra work because our facilities are being used, rented out and everything during the summertime. And so the maintenance guys are called upon to do a lot of extra stuff that they wouldn't normally do if they didn't have all those things going on. But really appreciate them. And as a parent and as a community member, I do appreciate what's going on in those summer programs. A lot of times they don't get recognition for it or anything like that. But, and that's all I wanted to say, so thank you.
Dave, thank you, because I know that all those programs don't happen without our athletic director, so thank you as well.
Thank you.
All right, so the next, there's several, so I don't know if y'all want to come up together or individually, but Show Low High School softball. So do you want to come up individually? Okay, so who's coming first?
Renee Isaacs.
Renee Isaacs. Yes, I should have done that, Renee.
Okay with you guys, what we thought we would do is have one spokesperson for everyone that's here in interest of time and respect for your time and what you have to do here. So I want you to know that I appreciate the opportunity to be able to address you. In the audience, there are many community members and parents that are here tonight that are concerned with the Show Low softball program. There's only a fraction of the people here. We only invited a certain amount of people because we didn't want to overwhelm. We're just asking tonight that the conditions of the program be looked into more deeply than they have. There's 5 main issues that we're asking the school board to address. And the reason we're asking the school board to address them is we have gone to the administration and the athletic director. And I also personally met with the coach for a couple hours on the phone. And I feel that maybe we haven't been heard as well as I think maybe we should. So I'm asking the school board to consider that. The 5 main issues are the number of girls participating in the Show Low softball program has declined every year for the past 10 years. This year we had 3 girls on our JV program for a total of 15 girls to fill 18 positions. This is an unprecedented amount of girls not coming out, girls that are quitting, girls that aren't being fed into the high school program. We, the Booster Club ourselves, put on a clinic for the community school-age girls this year. We asked the coaches to attend and conduct that meeting. We even got AIA approval for coaches and players to be able to conduct that. The parents ended up having to do that. Number 2, the club programs, which Mr. Nicholas kind of alluded to. We have coaches that are taking their own children to other club programs to play, and that's disheartening. And so I would like that addressed. It has been said that the club programs don't work because the girls aren't committed. I can tell you we've had a successful club ball program. We have traveled clear to Idaho as a group in order to make that club ball program happen. It was very successful. The girls saw a lot of improvement by doing that. Number 3, I'm going through fast so I can be done and not take up all of your time. The high school softball team is coached by 5 individuals, if you count Barry Nix as a volunteer that was approved by the school board this year. I want you to keep in mind that 1/3 of the players on this team is represented by a parent coach. Parent coaches are not necessarily a bad thing, but I would like you to consider and look into judgment as far as discipline and some other, I won't go into it. I'm just asking you to, I just want to let you know that there's some issues where that's concerned. Number 4 is I've saved the last 2 concerns that I feel are the most important, and they deal with trust. Trust in a program that a girl that loves the sport wants to have. Trust that fairness and honesty will always be a high priority in her career as an athlete. There is unequal treatment with player discipline, missing practices. There is no consistency in the way the program is functioning. This has led to a complete breakdown of trust and feelings of animosity amongst the players of the team. I can just tell you that this translates into girls coming home with stomach aches and not wanting to play. And I think those things need to be addressed. The last thing, which I think is big, that has been ignored for the last 3 years that I've been involved, is misappropriation of funds. 3 years in a row, 5 mothers have walked into the principal and athletic director's office and have given concern about fundraising activities going on with Show Low softball prior to the Booster Club being started this year. I understand Booster Club's new. I understand there's new county regulations that oversee that. That, however, does not relieve us of the responsibility of investigating and finding out where those funds are. I can tell you that these girls went in their uniforms with letters in hand. I have copies of those letters. And I got it from one of the business owners that donated, representing Show Low High School softball. That is exactly what it says on the letterhead. It does not indicate it as a club ball program. The money was never deposited into the school account, and I have the council checks to show that it was deposited into the coach's personal club ball account. I have the banner that was hung at the field during the regular season, thanking those sponsors. We also had another local business that donated $1,500 for new uniforms that never went through the school. No accounting has ever been made. You all know that I gave you a letter, and those concerns still stand. They have not been rectified. I urge the school board to hear the complaints, visualize the proof, and then make an informed decision as to whether you two will ignore the information and that you two will take the position that nothing can be done. Finally, we respectfully request that an inquiry be made into these 5 topics or others added that you see fit, so that the problems presented can be rectified and the program can move forward with the trust of the community, sponsors, and most importantly, the girls. We would request that a qualified committee be organized by the school board and not by the principal and athletic director, and that we think that you will find fairness. In fairness, if you look at these concerns in fairness, you will see that these concerns are legitimate. One more side note, all the girls were supposed to be interviewed to discuss their concerns. I can tell you my daughter was not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could we by chance, if you were the spokesman for all these people that signed up, would the people stand up who were,
Excuse me,
Gonna-
John, I will read the names of the people who are here.
I'd like to know who they are as far as names go.
I have them. I have Marty Fish, who's here represented, signed, Jody Strickland, and Juanita Reedhead. On that side.
Okay,
Okay,
Cool.
but the rest of
Thank
you
you.
as well.
thank you.
And I also want to add that I too had been, and I also have, Lori Vogt. Thank you. I too was approached, and I have spoke to Mr. Nicholas, referenced this topic, so I will make sure, Kim, can we put in the minutes that I want a qualified committee created? And I want that committee to report back to the board within the next 60 days. Mr. Nicholas, can you make sure that that takes place? Next item, Chuck Marsh, support of an administrative team.
It'd be bad to notice Chad Housen here.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak. Before I start, I'd like to let everybody know that I'm here under my own accord, under my own wishes, my own desires. I'm here to speak for the administrative team, especially Mr. Adams and Mrs. Marsh. I feel that I am in an awkward position as I believe for the most part that a person of authority should advocate for the persons under him or her. I advocate for my students, my principal advocates for students and teachers, and the superintendent should advocate for everyone in the district. In this case, there is no superintendent to advocate for those individuals. The school board has not expressed their interest in supporting these people, so I feel I must. A huge problem was created when the board accepted the resignation of the superintendent with no plan in place to deal with the vacancy. The administrative team of our district chose to step in and help with the problem. Had they not, the district would have paid up to $500 per day for a substitute superintendent. That comes to roughly $60,000 from January until now. The school board said they would visit and revisit the team and check to evaluate the effectiveness. During the January study session, a few members of the team stated that their end of the team did not warrant additional pay. My opinion is they were speaking for themselves and not the whole team. Mr. Schubert said that he could not justify paying these individuals since there are already so many employees in our school district doing extra. The board went against this sentiment later in the spring with another individual. There have been no follow-up visits as a board since that meeting. Several times, including this morning, when the question of a stipend for these individuals was brought up, a school board member fell back and continues to fall back on the statement of those few, such as, we don't feel like we are requiring a stipend. Since then, 2 members of the team have taken on more and more of the weight of the interim superintendent's role, such as personnel, hiring and relieving of duty, etc., emergencies, mentoring, graduation, and serving as liaisons between the district and the school board. All of this on top of their contracted roles with the district. After one of the elementary principals resigned, there was no question about a stipend there's no question about awarding a stipend for the administrator that filled in at that point. That stipend was recommended by the 2 main interim superintendents who were advocating for someone as they should have. I know both Mr. Adams and Mrs. Marsh have been asked multiple times about their stipend for their roles in this situation they have encountered. Every time the persons that have brought up the question every time the persons that have brought up the question have been shocked about the answer of none. It is my opinion that a meager thank you or we appreciate you is not going to be sufficient. They should receive a stipend that represents the district's appreciation for their efforts that are well above and beyond their contracts. The district saved a good amount of money in the salary left by the superintendent's vacancy. And our district does have a practice of financially rewarding those who fulfill positions left vacant and take on additional duties. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Kim, let's put that on as a future agenda item one more time. Mr. Eric Rask.
Good evening. So Charlie did all the research apparently because I didn't with all this stuff. But I come to you tonight as a parent of 3 boys that attend Shola School District. And I would like to thank Farrell Adams and Beth Marsh for all their consistency in helping out the district to stay afloat through this difficult time of transition. They've gone above and beyond. And as a parent, I want to say that I appreciate all their efforts. It's been nice to know that somebody's at the helm and things still continue to move forward. And I know that's difficult in a small district when there's not a lot of support staff. So they've done a really great job of doing that, and I want to say that I do appreciate that. In addition, I would also like the board to just evaluate and consider compensation for their efforts. I know that there's been, obviously, Mr. Marsh said there's been discussion of that in the past, but I would like to reiterate that I think it's important that there is some compensation provided. They have gone above and beyond what I think was initially expected of them when they accepted that position. So there we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. I think we've addressed that by adding it to the agenda. Any other calls to the audience, Kim? Item 1.4, approval of cell phone allowance for Glenn Price, Shola Unified School District mechanic. Mr. Greg Schubert.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Price spends all of his time out in the shop, and he does have a desk in there with a phone, but he's never at it because it's kind of hard to do a break job from his office. And he's constantly on the phone with vendors trying to get parts in and everything else. So it has been requested from the Transportation Department that we provide Mr. Price with a cell phone stipend.
I'll make a motion for approval of cell phone stipend for Mr. Price.
I'll second the motion.
So I have a motion and a second for approval of a cell phone allowance for Mr. Glenn Price. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would like to know where the funds are coming. Can you tell us a little more about?
We have a list of stipends, some that have and have not been used. So that's where those funds would come from.
So these are funds that are currently not being used?
Funds that are currently not being used.
Is this a year-round position for him?
Yes, it is.
So he'll be here all summer working
Here all
on
summer.
vehicles and,
Did you need to know the amount of the stipend?
Yeah.
It's $710 for the entire year.
Why is there a difference in stipends for different people?
The cell phone stipends are pretty much based on your job position. The superintendent stipend for cell phone is much higher. The high school principal, the junior high principal, and the principal teachers are also higher. Directors and all that is the lowest part of those stipends.
So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 1.5, approval of public auction on June 23rd, 2016. Mr. Schubert.
Every year we do an auction with surplus materials, items that are no longer of use to the district or have run their course. And we're asking for the approval of our annual auction on June 23rd from the board.
I make a motion for approval of public auction on June 23rd.
Second.
second.
So I have a motion and a second for approval of June 23rd public auction. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion, or any opposed? Motion carries. Item 1.6, future board agenda items.
I have a future board agenda item. Please, I would like to, I'm concerned about the continued dysfunction on the board and concerns about leadership on the board. I would like an agenda item for our next meeting, preferably sooner than later. If we could have a special meeting where we could all visit and talk about our board and its leadership, including an action item to change leadership if we so desire.
Any other future agenda items?
I'd like to set up a work session that we can go over student achievement scores that came back this month, so we can discuss them and bring it back to the July board meeting, so we can set our goals as a board.
I think it'd be well to have a meeting and group where we meet and discuss various concerns amongst the board. I think would be very useful.
A special meeting? I think we're planning that anyway with the hiring of our new superintendent, so I think that is something
That's very important, yeah.
that's easily planned.
Ms. Lizardi, I'd just like to request that that meeting be done in a time that is outside of the normal work hours. It's hard for some of the board members to make,
I think it's hard for all the board members, Brian.
I know. So,
What would be a good time for you, Brian?
after work or Saturdays.
Okay, so noted. Any other future agenda items? Besides those ones already added? Item 2.1, approval of overnight and out-of-state travel. Mr. Farrell Adams.
Thank you. The high school would recommend approval of the overnight and out-of-state travel for fall sports for the upcoming fall season as presented.
I make a motion for approval of overnight and out-of-state travel as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of overnight and out-of-state travel as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 3.1, approval of terminations, resignations, and retirements. Mr. Greg Schubert.
Before you is a list of resignations and retirements and those who failed to sign either their contract or their work agreement, and we ask for your approvals for those tonight.
I'll make a motion to approve terminations, resignations, and retirements.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second for approval, terminations, resignations, and retirements. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 3.2, approval of new hires and transfers. Mr. Schubert.
Before you is a list of new hires and transfers, and we ask that you approve those this evening.
I make a motion for approval of new hires and transfers.
Second.
A motion and a second for approval of new hires and transfers. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3.3, approval of stipends, volunteers, and event workers. Mr. Greg Schubert.
Before you is a list of our stipends for the NPC dual enrollment that was left off from NPC in the last board meeting, and then the other junior high sports, sped case managers, high school sports, and volunteers. We ask for your approval on those tonight.
I so move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion for approval of stipends, volunteers, and event workers? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Approval of summer school teachers and summer maintenance workers.
Before you is a list of summer teachers and summer school teachers and summer maintenance workers, and we ask for your approval on those tonight.
I make a motion for approval of summer school teachers and summer maintenance workers.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for summer school teachers and summer maintenance workers. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 3.5, approval of summer school substitutes.
Before you is a list of two individuals who we are looking forward to substitute for over summer school. Looking for your approvals on those tonight.
A motion we approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve summer school substitutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 3.6, approval of student teachers. Mr. Schubert.
Before you is a list of student teachers coming into the district next year. We ask for your approval on those.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve 2 student teachers for next year. Any further discussion?
Where are they from? Do you know?
I do not know.
The high school one is from NAU, coming in to do special education. I believe that's correct, is NAU. I've visited with her. She's going to be a good asset to our school.
Right. Cool.
And
I'm always
Lyndon
glad to
is,
see that.
sorry, Lyndon is from Grand Canyon University.
Grand Canyon, cool. Great.
So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 3.7, approval of contract revisions. Greg Schubert.
Before you are 2 contract revisions for bus drivers coming into the next school year. We ask for your approvals for those.
I so move.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve contract revisions. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4.0, there is no policy matters this month.
3.8.
3.9.
3.8 is taxpayer 301 money.
Oops, I missed one. 3.8, I'm sorry, review of 301 stipend payments. Greg Schubert.
Before you is a list of all the teachers that were eligible for the 301 performance payout, and this is the percentages of that performance payout that they were getting, so it's there for your information.
I make a motion for approval of 301 stipend payouts as listed.
There's no action needed on that.
I wanted to.
It's just
No
information.
action needed, so moving right along again, item 4.0, policy. For once, we have no policies to review. So we're moving on to items 5.0, which
What
are,
about
3.9,
3.9 and
10 and 11.
how am I skipping those?
you're just getting ahead of me.
I guess I flipped to all the letters, and I guess it's in the middle, maybe? 3.9, approval of changing of Nicholas Homestead PE position from classified to certified teacher. Kevin Hall.
Yes, tonight I'm asking the board to approve the changing of the PE position at Nicholas Homestead from a classified position to a certified teaching position. The teacher that was currently teaching there is retired. You just approved that. So now I'm asking for that position to be certified just like the other PE positions.
I make a
So
motion.
moved.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Before further discussion, I just want to say that it's been a long time coming that we've tried to get all these PE and music positions changed back from certified positions back to, or from classified positions back to certified positions. And so with a motion and a second, do we have any further discussion?
Kevin, have you filled this position yet?
No, it's not been posted until it's
okay.
approved.
Right, gotcha.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 3.10, approval of increasing EDP paraprofessionals to 37.5 hours. Ms. Beth Marsh.
The rest of our special ed parapros are currently at 35 hours a week, and they've been there for several years. However, I have 6 paraprofessionals that work in our EDP classrooms, and I'm asking that their hours be increased to 37.5. We would like to try it this year and see if that'll meet our needs. And that is because those classrooms, with the additional funding that comes with them, also comes additional requirements. Not only are those paraprofessionals required to have additional training that is not required of my other parapros, there's also a great deal of documentation. We're continuing to tweak that program, make sure that we're meeting state regulations with restraint and seclusion. You just passed that policy. So we're really finding that we need additional hours for those paraprofessionals. Interesting.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the increase to EDP paraprofessionals to 37.5 hours. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 3.11, approval of creating a 0.25 SPED case manager position for Nicholas Homestead Elementary. Ms. Beth Marsh.
I'm concerned about many of my caseloads, but in looking at what happened at Nicholas this year, all of a sudden it just grew. And by the end of the year, I was very concerned. She actually ended the year with over 70 students. That was between 2 schools. So that makes it a little bit more difficult because you're traveling. She will start, some of those will move on. So she will start the year with about 60 students. But I would like to look at a 0.25 to add on just at Nicholas to assist with that caseload.
I so move.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve creating a .25 SPED case manager position for Nicholas Homestead Elementary. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now I flipped through every single page this time, and there are no other 3-point items, correct?
No fours.
And no fours. Moving on to item 5.1, approval of revision, number 2, to maintenance and capital outlay levy budgets for 2015-16. Mr. Greg Schubert.
With the passing of Proposition 123, we needed to do a second revision to our budget. That is the budget that you have in your packet before you, and I'm bringing it to you for your approvals tonight.
What's a revision?
There is $509,700 that are added to that budget.
Have we decided how we're spending it yet?
That money right now, in the budget that you have before you, 45% of that money is going to pay raises, and 58% of that money is going to an increase in healthcare insurance. So with the easy math, that's 103% of that money.
I so move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the revision to the 15-16 budget. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5.2, discussion regarding the current salary placement chart for teachers. Greg Schubert.
Inside your packet, let me just double check my notes. Inside your packet is an updated teacher salary placement chart. This chart, if you approve this chart, it'd be effective for the 16-17 school year. Any teachers that we have hired this year, for next year, and moving forward would be used on this placement chart. This chart is a 1% increase over the previous chart. And if you'll notice, we were able to get our basic salary up over the $30,000 mark to $30,107. So I'm bringing that for your approvals.
I so move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve.
No motion.
Oh, there's no action required, actually. so.
Okay.
Never mind.
Approving 5.4 now?
So
5.3.
Item 5.3, review of budget study work session held on June 9th, 2016. Mr. Greg Schubert.
In this morning's meeting, we discussed Proposition 123 funding and moving forward. This is an open discussion item among the board members and the administrators. So I think the way to start this off would be to field any questions that you may have had since 10:30 this morning.
I just think it would be important to let the community know that we are looking at several items. The administrators are going back and looking at loyalty, sub-pay, and ESI pay for our teachers amongst all the other needs of our district, and all of our, what did you call them? Not just the buildings, but you had another word for them?
Our facilities, our campuses.
Campuses, the word you used, yes, because you include the buses as a campus and so forth and so on.
Those were the non-educational campuses.
Non-educational campuses, those are the words he used. I just want the community to know that the administrators are looking at that and in our study session, and that we'll be bringing those changes back to us, and we will be presenting those to you at a later date.
No action required.
No action required. Item 5.4, approval of 2016-2017 salary placement schedule. That one seems to be the,
Yeah, I kind of jumped ahead of myself a little bit
Okay.
on that one. With the passing of Proposition 123, we have looked at all of our salary schedules, both certified and classified, and we have added a 1% raise to all levels of those. And those are the placement schedules that are before you, and we are looking for your approvals for those this evening.
a motion we approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the 2016-17 salary placement schedule. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 5.5, approval of proposed Nicholas Homestead 2 classroom module buildings, Ralph Smith. And I understand that there is a presentation to go with that.
I'm before you today in regards to the facilities. The group was asked for a two-room classroom to be at Dickless Homestead. Kevin Halls came to us, as well as Greg Schubert, and asked that we look into the cost and the feasibility of putting this in. Okay? Here's my slide up. Thank you. Here's right now, currently, if you look at the layout of the buildings, you'll see a little highlighted yellow area with a shed and 2 vehicles. That's the proposed area for the 2-room classroom. If you look on the other yellow that's around the other buildings, that's the current portable buildings that cannot be used for a classroom. They've been condemned before I show up on the doorstep. So we propose in using those 2 buildings that are currently there, the portables, as storerooms, and go ahead and convert them into permanent storerooms. Once we do that, we cannot change our mind and we cannot make them classrooms. Next slide. Once again, this is just an overview. The fire department, I've met with the city of Show Low, and they showed where the fire plugs at, the fire hydrants at. And currently, right now, it's over 300 feet away. So once again, we can't put the building where we wanted to originally, is to replace the 2 portables. We still can't do that. Next slide. This is currently a rendition of the building that we're looking at. It's once again a two-room classroom, 1 building only. Okay. Next slide. And here's the specifications for it. Here's what we've come up with modular building. We've also included the Northern AZ upgrade includes the snow load, energy code, insulation upgrades for zone and climates. In other words, this building is designed to be up here and not down in the valley. Next slide. Here's our electrical needs. We've did an evaluation. We do have 3-phase electrical at that school that we can utilize and power up this particular building, and with minimal costs. Here is the current building. That's a used building that we were looking at. It kind of doesn't look the greatest to me, but this is the building that we're proposing on putting on the site. It will be cleaned up, painted, trimmed out, and it won't be all lopsided like this picture shows. Next slide. This is the inside of the interior of the building. This is one side of it that currently needs to be cleaned out by, and it will be cleaned out by the contractor itself, but that's the one side of the classroom. Next slide. And here's the other side of that same building. You'll see a little daylight to the left. That's because the 2 buildings aren't put together yet. Okay, next slide. And this is just basically the delivery. This is the breakdown of all the costs that's going to be incurred for this building. Next slide. What it takes. Next slide. And here's a total breakdown of all the costs that for you guys to review. And the bottom line is the total amount right now projected to have this building there is $116,095.51. That is a turnkey project. That is complete. That is all the electrical, that's all the codes, that's the fire alarm, that's the HVAC system, and any other costs that can be incurred. So there you go.
That include the connection with phone and announcement and things
Yes.
like that, and it connects it to the fire system in the main school.
Absolutely.
Thank you for such a nice presentation, Mr. Smith.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Which kids are going to go in those classrooms? How many students?
Right now, I have this year I had a 5th grade class that was in a contained classroom within the building that was just small. It was too small. So I would put a 5th grade classroom in this. And we also have an ELL class that we
Would share?
Yep.
Kevin, just out of curiosity, the rooms that you're vacating, what will you use those for?
Well, like he said, we have to use them for storage.
No, I mean for the 2 classes that you're gonna run.
I
out
would
of.
put special services where that smaller room is.
Okay,
Case manager and and speech, and it sits right next to OTPT. It's right in the center of the building.
This fit into your schedule, budget?
Well, it takes a pretty good hit out of the capital budget. But we've got options. And in the past, we have used lease purchases to buy portable buildings. But you're talking a 5 to 7 year lease purchase. We could use 123 money, pay for it outright, and not have to worry about paying interest on a lease purchase. We have options.
Okay.
Will this continue to be a problem with growth over there, that we'll need to keep adding buildings?
We are at capacity. Nicholas Homestead is at capacity.
We need a
So if we
long-term,
grow, we will need more space. Yes.
and there's really no place to put more space?
You can put them on the football field or the softball field. But yeah, we're tight.
Even that's too far though from the fire extinguishers. We tried.
I make a motion for approval of proposed Nicholas Homestead classroom.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second for the proposed Nicholas Homestead 2-classroom modular building. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the 2016-17 proposed budget.
Well, I don't know if you noticed or not, but I was a little tardy to our meeting because I was trying to get some things done on next year's budget. So let me
I don't think so either.
hand these out to you. Just won't pass it on that one.
I'm not so sure we can do this without our further discussion. But
So the pages that you have in front of you for the budget for next year is the M&O budget and the capital budget. I didn't have enough time to get the federal grants done. The page 2 is the 301 monies. I just ran out of time. So what you have in front of you is the bulk of the budget, which is the M&O budget and the capital budget moving forward into next year. The budget that you approved earlier tonight was for $13,203,579 in our M&O budget. The budget that we are proposing to you tonight out of M&O is $13,778,466. The capital budget you approved earlier is $463,429. The proposed budget in front of you is $628,429 in capital. And I would be more than happy, since I know this is getting to you kind of late, but I would be more than happy to explain any of those boxes that you have in front of you.
well, my concern is that we've asked the administrators to look at a few things regarding the budget, and they can't possibly have been able to do that and get back to us for us to look at this budget. So
This is a proposed budget that is.
we can look at it again?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a proposed budget and it's due to the state by June 15th. That's why you have it in front of you tonight.
I'm
You will
tracking.
actually have the adopted budget to do at your board meeting in July.
So after we do our kumbaya.
So we will have time to do whatever tweaking that we need to do per those discussions.
Thank you very much.
I'll motion we approve the proposed budget as presented.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the proposed 2016-17 budget. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I'm flipping through every page this time. Not sure.
And next time I will have slides for it too. I didn't have time to put those together this time either.
Proposed. Okay, we're good. Item 6.1, ratification of expense vouchers.
So before you tonight on our consent agenda, we ask for your approval of the following: ratification of our expense vouchers, our payroll vouchers, the ratification of the junior high and the high school activity and revenues and expenditures, ratification of our food service revenues and expenditures, approval of governing board minutes for the following meetings: the executive session on April 2nd, April 8th, April 9th, April 16th, special board meeting on April 21st, which are some amended minutes, and the regular board meeting on May 12th, 2016. We also bring before you some, for your approval, some donations. $129.12 donation from Swire Coca-Cola for 10 cases of soda and water for graduation, for grad night. $820.85 donation from the Linden PTO for 10 soundproof boards for the gym cafeteria and $10 certificates for attendance and million word readers. A $246.47 donation from Quality Ready Mix for cement for the graduating class Walk of Fame at the high school. These are our consent agenda items, and we bring them to you for your approval tonight.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Special board meeting, April 21, 2016 amended. What specifically is amended?
There was a, let me find it here. On paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, under 1.2, it was the last two sentences were added. Mrs. Anderson said that the last year that she has been on school board, we have not talked about student achievement. It's been about things that are irrelevant. Mr. Larson stated that we have done nothing for students for the last year and a half, nothing.
Who asked that this be amended?
Mrs. Lazardi.
And these were not on the original minutes when we posted them?
Yes.
Okay. And in relation to that, I would like to make a comment that I make special attention to make sure that I don't say anything that isn't on the minutes, ever. And so I'd like the public to know that, in fact, I do believe that over the last year and a half, with the dysfunction that has been on this board.
Mr. Larson, you
We-
can't
that,
add things to the, Mr. Larson, you
I
cannot
did say
add
that.
things to the minutes that, all you're doing is approving the minutes.
I'll motion we approve.
I'll second the motion.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Are we missing an adjourn?
I need a motion for an adjournment.
I'll motion to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Motion, John, second.